Good morning for Life Science Success Podcast. I'm interviewing today Dirk Abeel. Dirk is a consultant focused on omnichannel, and today he's going to talk to us about his career as well as the overall progress that he's making with other companies around omnichannel. Welcome, Dirk.
Thank you, Don. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So normally you're located in Ireland, but today you're in Switzerland, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in the Swiss mountains, enjoying the bad weather.
Oh, nice, very nice.
But I'm here for business, so that's good.
Yeah, that's always an excellent thing as a consultant. So, in terms of being in Ireland, how long have you been in Ireland?
It's now 2 years, actually 2 years and a half, because before I lived in the UK, but then since the lockdown, for familial reasons, I'm staying in Ireland. So just the last day before the lockdown, I took the plane to Ireland, and I stayed there and I didn't see the office anymore because, as you know, till end of August, before becoming a consultant, I stayed at Reckitt, which was based in the United Kingdom, and before I spent 10 years here in Switzerland.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. I mean, for somebody that's based in the United States, I mean, it's interesting to know that you can be so mobile, but at the same time, I mean, it's not that I've been much different. So I've lived in a lot of different states in the United States as well. So yeah, I can completely understand.
I think that's the beauty here. Okay, with COVID it was a bit different, obviously, but now you start seeing it starts loosening up. You take the train and you are in another country, or you take the plane and in 1 hour you can go almost to 4, 5, 6 different countries. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Really nice. And I mean, it's good that people are able to get around now as well. That things are loosening up a little bit.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day you need to learn to live with it. It's with everything. We have gone through so many disruptions in many ways. And I think that's part of what is making life interesting, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your career, I mean, you seem to have a really long career overall with Nestle. Can you tell everybody about your career? So what did you do with them?
Yeah, so I started my career in Belgium. I always have to say I have to justify my accent. So I'm from the Flemish side. Originally, where I started immediately after university as a kind of a medical sales rep, we called it. And then I went through all the ranks, like from a district manager, line manager, sales manager, marketing. And then I had the fantastic opportunity to go to Africa to set up a kind of a commercial network, a sales structure with the underpinning, with the right technology, the capabilities. First in Central and Western Africa, and then the last 2 years, the whole of Africa. And so after 5 years, then I always say I was summoned to go to the headquarters here in Switzerland, because I wanted to stay there, because for me it has been one of the most interesting experiences I ever had, working in such an environment where still a lot had to be done and could be done, but also finding the right people who are able to execute that. And then also to hand over the initiative and the leadership to local people. So that has been very gratifying and very interesting to see. Then at headquarter level, I headed up for the nutrition business, the whole, let me say, what we would call today commercial excellence part, including also the capabilities, the systems, the data behind, etc., etc. En dan ook de acquisitie van Wyatt Infonutrition within the big Nestle family was very interesting, because we really had to make sure that we kept the two teams sharp, so Nestle and Wyatt, because it was a different kind of portfolio. So very interesting experiences. How do you bring a business into another business without losing their DNA, which often is the case, and then you lose the sharpness and the reason why you bought a company. So that's within Nestle. And then so I was part of the nutrition leadership team, and then I decided to move on, which brought us to the end of 2019, where then I went to, literally I took the plane to go over the channel and the North Sea to go to the United Kingdom to become a global medical sales director for Reckitt in the medical channel business. So again, in the same environment, life sciences, I would say, healthcare environment, to do a bit the same, and then starting already to make this move or turn towards omni-channel, which obviously has been accelerated since COVID. So I always say one of the good things of COVID has been that it really has forced and propelled this transition, which was highly needed within the industry. And because everyone knows that we always like to use big buzzwords where we say, okay, customer centricity, blah, 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 blah. Well, COVID has forced companies to look in the mirror to see, are we really as good as we thought? Because suddenly the initiative, the power changed, shifted sides. And it was the customer who decided, hey, I want to see you, yes or no. And depending on the quality you brought and the value you brought, due past experiences. So very interesting time frame in which we are living now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and for anybody that's listening, overall, if you hear some background noise with Dirk, he's currently traveling, and so he has people around him right now while he's traveling. So I mean, one of the things that is very interesting to me overall is to think of Nestle and then think of healthcare. So, I mean, how much of the healthcare space are they in? What do they do?
I think, okay, everyone knows, obviously, Nestle as this big group, multinational in the food industry, in the fast-moving consumer goods. But they also have a kind of very specialized businesses, of which you have Nestle Nutrition, infant nutrition, maternal nutrition, also Nestle Health Science, which is going more into the kind of therapeutic area and which is expanding quite big. Then also you have the pet food side with Purina. So a lot of diverse businesses, which is making it a very interesting organization, obviously, to work in, because many different dynamics, but at the same time leveraging, let's say, some global platforms, trying to make the best out of it, and also to see how can you bring all this data together and make something out of it for the whole group, but also particularly then for your target audiences. So that's a bit the space in which.
Seems as if we lost Dirk just briefly. Hopefully,
Initially.
there we go. Your bandwidth is dropping out a little bit, Dirk, I think. So we lost you for a second. I think you're back. Your video's not back. Well, we'll see if we can't get Dirk back. If not, then we may have to reschedule. Let's see what happens here just momentarily. Well, guests, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to reschedule this interview. I think looks like we've lost Dirk permanently, and I will work with him to reschedule. Omnichannel is a very exciting thing to work on, and hopefully now that we have him back, maybe we can continue. I just was apologizing to the guests just briefly. Was gonna, if it happens again, Dirk, maybe we just reschedule. But
Yeah, exactly.
You try and continue. And
yeah, I'm sorry for that. You see, that are the perks of the omni-channel environment. Huh? So you're so heavily dependent on technology that if you get cut off, it's like, oh, it's the end of the world.
It's the world we live in right now, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where I dropped off was I was explaining a bit the healthcare space in which also companies like Reckitt and Nestle are operating. It's a bit more the consumer health kind side of business, but also going in a bit of med tech devices. So you see that these lines are getting blurred, and I think that also COVID has even accelerated that, because you've seen a lot of people or companies moving in, or trying to enter the space of the, let me say, the consumer health kind of industry.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean this idea of bringing together multiple companies, like you talked about a moment ago. Um, I think these transitions aren't easy, right? And so navigating that space is hard. And then on top of it, being somebody that is leading people in terms of their commercial excellence is another sort of interesting area as well.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's keeping ahead to what is the purpose of what you want to achieve as a company. So, but the thing which is often underestimated is the importance of change management from the start of the journey till the end of the journey. Too often we kick in change management when we are already halfway the journey. And another very important aspect in that regard with change management for me is the balance between the heart and the mind. Rationally, people can easily connect to why things are needed to change, but if you don't manage the emotional side, it often doesn't work.
Yeah. So now you're a consultant, you're focused on omni-channel. Can you tell us just a little bit more about omni-channel? What is it? Where does it start, and
Yeah,
kind of, what do you help companies do?
yeah, no, that's a great question, I would say, because there's a lot of buzz around again. In the industry, we use a lot of this kind of words: omni-channel, multi-channel. So I think first of all, what a lot of companies still do today is multi-channel, is having different channels they use in separation next to each other to do whatever kind of activities with their customer base. Omni-channel for me is bringing it all together in a seamless journey, creating this kind of seamless experience, value add across all these touch points, and that independently of agnostics from the channels you use. So that's simply said what real omni-channel is about, and it's about driving value across this whole journey for the customer, because that's what it is about. It's really customer slash patient centricity.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I mean, it was probably 5 or 7 years ago. I wound up in a uh, organization that more or less did this full mapping of sort of what is the customer's journey, along the way. But they had multiple channels of selling, right? So they didn't sort of incorporate everything into one journey for the customers. And I think that was the main comment that we would hear is you're still very siloed to us, and you have different sales reps that constantly are coming in and talking to us. Why can't you do this in a more focused way? So it sounds to me like a very smart way that matches the customer's journey with any company.
Yeah, and I think what is important is to break down all these silos, in internal silos in organizations and between different kinds of businesses within the same organization. And for that also you need to think about, for me, data democratization. Today, too many people and functions are sitting on their data like a chicken on the egg. It's mine and no one can touch it, which I believe we should open that up internally, and even why not with other industries, because you can make a lot richer kind of model out of it. Because at the end of the day, you need to bring your data together. You need to know what you want to achieve over the pipeline of time and projects. What is it you want to measure? How success is looking like? So these actionable insights across the whole organization should be there, and for everyone the same.
So in terms of clients and when they would call you, sort of what are some of the problems that they would have that they, would then pick up the phone and call you to say, hey, it's time to have you come in and talk to us?
Yeah, I think that too often when we talk about omni-channel, multi-channel, whatever channel is there, people they think, okay, we have to activate channels. And I always say that's the easy part. No, you need to start in the right way. The right place is reassess what is your commercial strategy. Yeah, what are your business objectives? What is your commercial strategy? What is the culture or the corporate, let me say, culture behind to make that happen? And then to start seeing, okay, what are some of these leveraging points you can use? Because It's about changing certain behaviors. What do you need to do for that? And then to see, okay, what are the most optimal channels to drive that? And that will depend on the purpose of the interaction. If it is like we are talking now, maybe we say face-to-face would be the best if it would be possible. If not, we do this kind of remote engagement meetings. If it is about continued medical education, I prefer to have a webinar, or I want to go to a congress, or I want to have e-learning. And more important is I want to have access whenever I want. I don't want to have the dependency on a company or on the sales organization. I want to have access to the relevant information whenever I want, wherever I want, through the right channels of my preference. So if you look at that, and then how do you measure success across all these touch points? How do you bring all this data together? Do you have the right capabilities? So let me say, I do a kind of a scan throughout the whole organization based on their business objectives, their commercial strategy, looking at the executional level. Do we have the right platforms underneath? And do we have a sound data architecture and data mindset behind? And based on this assessment, we decide together, okay, what is now the critical part in moving the needle towards this customer centricity, patient centricity? And then to see, okay, because I try to help them, obviously, from the beginning till the end, but I also work with what I call trusted partners. When you really, the technology, if you really need to do certain technological kind of improvements, I bring in preferred partners so that I can really stay on board the whole journey. Either I drive it myself directly, either indirectly, so that we do not lose time, and that also the customer knows, okay, this is taken care of because there's a vision end to end.
Yeah, it's funny because I work with a lot of my clients as well on multi-generational roadmaps, and so you know, one thing seems to lead to another and lead to another, and sometimes, you know, it clearly leads clients away from me as well, right? I mean, why not use the best resource whenever it comes to working with consultants as well? So that, I think that's an important thing that you're bringing to your clients as well.
And it's working both sides. That was a big surprise for me when I was reaching out and building that network. I said, okay, I was looking at it a bit from my perspective, but surprisingly, at first sight at least, not anymore now, is that they said exactly the same. Hey, we can use your expertise, because often we are very good in our technology, in whatever we present in our solutions, but we often lack the business understanding. And so I get pulled in a lot in this business and commercial strategic kind of discussions from their side, which for me obviously is very interesting, because it opened doors in a very easy way, allowing me to look around and to scan and to see also, okay, what other opportunities are there seen in this whole omnichannel kind of transformation aspect.
Yeah, absolutely critical. And so I also saw that, I mean, you mentioned, you know, speaking at a Congress earlier, I saw that you were a keynote speaker at the Pharma Digitization Forum. What were some of the key points that you shared in your keynote whenever you were there?
Well, I would say it's first of all, as I mentioned before, that you need to step back and reassess your whole structure, your organization, starting from a culture, from your goals, from your strategies, because the world has changed due to what we have gone through. Is everything still in the right place? Yes or no? That's the first point where you need to start, and you need to take time. And I said also, I keep on repeating and hitting on the same nail, the importance of change management across the organization, aligning everyone behind the same vision from the highest to the lowest level, and walk the talk. And then, of course, critical again for me is this whole data aspect, not for the big brother thing, but to better understand what is bringing value to each of the segments of our customer base. So the whole segmentation model. And if you look at omnichannel, I always say it's a very hungry machine. So the content you need to provide is critical, needs to be adapted to your audience, to their, where are they on the level of advocacy, needs to be channel fit. So the metadata tagging behind, again, to see what is working, what is not working, and allowing them doing the same with their patients. That's I think is another critical part for me, because remember, it's about bringing value across all these touch points. And if there is one message I always give is, if you cannot answer the question, which value do you want to drive through this channel for this interaction? If you cannot give the answer, stay out of it, stay away from it, because the risk is too big that it will be the opposite. So it is asking a lot of discipline, and it also requests, of course, a lot of change in the commercial model in your sales organization. Because, needless to say, well, yesterday, by manner of speaking, everyone was still out there face to face, and then from one day on the other, up, you were grounded, and a lot of anxiety. What is going to happen with my role, with my job, and so on and so forth. So it's a huge opportunity to let also the sales organization understand things are changing, but they're changing for the good, because your role becomes even more strategic, because you will have to orchestrate this whole kind of omni-channel navigation and experience. So I always like to talk about the royal couple when we talk about engaging with our customers, where the content is king and the storytelling is the queen, and that creates the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's absolutely, I mean, you've hit on several key topics, right? I mean, one being change management, two, just meeting customers where they are. And then, three, just the fact that, people and the way that they approach things has to come from that aspect where the customer is, not necessarily where you are. Right. So, and I don't think that was maybe as obvious, to all organizations, in the past, but, something that we're working through. So, now given, kind of, if you fast forward from your keynote until now, I mean, we're seeing, now new Delta variants, right, of COVID. And so there's a potential, that this having to live with COVID continues, and having to do a lot more remotely, continues. How would your keynote change if you were to deliver it today, or would it?
I don't think so. I think the key message will be we are living in this volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world, and it's maybe not a bad place to be. So change is there, and you better embrace it and make it part of how you think and how you act, so you stay ahead of the curve. So this mindset of continuous change and not having the tendency to go back, because I see that happening today. When the situation is getting a bit better, people want to do again what they were used to do, and that would be a missed opportunity, because what we could see today is, if you really manage this interaction between these different channels, between your most expensive resources or investment, which is people, and other channels, you can do so much more. You can reach a lot more. You can have a more meaningful engagement model. So for me, this is there to stay, and I will keep on advocating that or preaching for that. So that, please, let's not step back, and let's prepare for something which will come and we do not know yet, because that has been proven. Exactly, you think you have everything under control. Tomorrow, what was certain today became completely obsolete. So it's keep this mind, and keep thinking ahead, and keep the finger at the pulse, and also with your customer base, because there are new generations coming in. And in life sciences industries, okay, you have the older generation and you have the very young generation, which have different expectations.
Sure.
Who are looking for different value. That's the same for your workforce. So this will keep on going, and it will add a bit more complexity in how we manage talent bases in organizations. But it will be, for me, at least that's what my belief, a lot more rewarding. So it will keep on going, and there will be new technologies coming in. AI will become more important, machine learning, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely look forward to kind of the continuation of, just tools making business easier in terms of, the way that somebody wants to be approached. I mean, this idea of, wanting things a certain way, and maybe it's generational, but also it could be, country specific and things like that as well, that, people from different backgrounds just might want a different approach than others. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's is it, because now I think the customer has a lot more control, than, even more than ever before. So that's also a big change in the organization.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, you're just getting started in your consulting journey. Obviously you provided a lot of value for a lot of different companies, throughout your career. If we were to fast forward, what do you want to be doing, so say 4 or 5 years from now?
Sitting very high in the mountains. No, I would love to continue doing this and further developing, further evolving with how things are changing, and trying to stay an advocate for this kind of industry, and building a broader network. So also getting more and more people convinced how important this is, this whole transition and transformation, uh, so that they also can start influencing other people. So what I am always a guy who likes to roll up the sleeves, and by the way, you can see it's the truth. is I like to go in the trenches, because that's where you make the difference. So, but I would like to build a strong network which is doing the same. So that's the same with omnichannel. You can expand, you can get a broader reach, and then you can start looking at what is coming next, and where possible, even helping certain organizations is building new solutions, because there are so many opportunities, there are still so many pain points out there, where intellectually you know how the solution would look like, but you do not have the know-how. So partnering with others to bring better things to the marketplace.
Absolutely critical. So there are three questions that I like to ask every guest. What inspires you?
Oh, what is inspiring me is I see when people are really doing something which is not expected, where everyone said this is not possible. And if I look back, and it's related to the topic, if you look back in history, there have been thousands of moments where people said this will never be achieved, but it was achieved, and it's always through little people. You don't need many people to change the world. So that I find very inspirational, also for looking forward into the future.
Yeah, I mean, healthcare is definitely at a very inspiring point, right? I mean, the fact that we developed the vaccine so fast, the fact
Yeah.
that science is where it is from a cancer research standpoint. I mean, from my world, I'm definitely seeing an awful lot of benefits, as well. What concerns you?
I'm by nature a very optimistic guy, so that's maybe worrisome. No, what I wanted to say is, what concerns me is the changes are going so fast. So the risk that is that there is a divide between those that can follow and those that cannot follow. That's one thing which is concerning me, and the abuse.
It seems as if we lost Dirk briefly again. Oh, you're coming back, I think. Well, for anyone that's watching live, we'll wait for Dirk to come back, and then I'll ask the question again, since this is a live cast. Nothing like having it freeze. This is the time of this technology is obviously, Dirk traveling and being in a lobby, working through things, on his end, it's got to be a big challenge. For those of you who get to listen on the podcast, I will remove these sections so that they're not here. But in the meantime, we'll just sit and wait for Dirk to provide his answer for what concerns him. Here he comes back now.
Sorry for
And
this, but we were almost at the end, so that's the good news.
that's right. Well, I was just telling everybody, look, if you're watching live or you're seeing the video, this is the way things are right now, right? This is life. So
Yeah. And
people,
do you know what I like about this is, even then, and it's greater because you will keep talking, and that's what it is about. There are things happening you do not expect. You need to keep on running the show. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
important.
well, I haven't had to do this before, so this is a new experience for me as well, but, it's okay. What I'll do for those people that listen to the podcast on audio, I'm gonna clip this out so they're not gonna hear the breaks. They won't hear
Yeah.
me, awkwardly pause. But can you provide us your answer again so Dirk, what concerns you?
Yeah. So for me, what concerns me the most is that we are evolving now with a big speed. And as you know, there are always leaders. There's always a pack which is running ahead, and then there are the laggers, and that this will create another kind of divide. We had the first time with the people who were into PCs, computers, laptop, then people who didn't want that. Today, this whole omni-channel transition is even accelerating everything again. So that's a bit of a concern. And on the other hand, we are creating so much data that could easily be abused. And I was referring to the famous fake news kind of approach. Also, there you see that it's creating divides and it's making it deeper because people start living in their own kind of created world. So that's something which is really concerning me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day. So if you think about, in the world, we have, people who have acquired experience and acquired knowledge. And then you have people who gain knowledge through, some sort of journey that they're on. And that's where in my mind, that's where there's an opportunity for fake news to
Yeah.
take effect, right? So,
But I think it's linking to something else and the importance of the educational system, critical thinking.
mhm.
I see this is really deteriorating, is going backwards. Critical thinking should be okay. I get some news, ask myself the question, hey, is this making sense? Where else can I do the double check and balances thing? This should become a second nature of people. It's going to different data sources and preferentially coming from different kind of sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. And what excites you?
Uh, New opportunities. I get quickly bored if I have to do all the time the same things. New challenges, meeting people, making things work, to get starting from a concept and then helping to make it work. Hand over, move on. That's what I love doing. That's what exciting me. That's what is keeping me going.
Yeah. I mean, it is exciting and definitely, being in this role right now with you being a consultant is something that you'll get that opportunity quite frequently, hopefully. So
Yeah, but that's why we call ourselves solution partners.
absolutely. So Dirk Abeel, thank you so much for being with me today on the Life Science Success Podcast. I greatly appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Don. It was a great pleasure and looking forward to what is coming next.
Thanks so much.